What is up, Game of Thrones fans, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the battle for Winterfell, the episode that everyone has been looking forward to all season. Season 8 so far, in my opinion, has been good. A lot of people have been complaining, well, first two episodes were slow, not enough action. Did you get your action? Because this episode is full of it. It is everything we expected from an execution standpoint, although there weren't as many deaths. By the way, I know I put the warning already, but this is a spoiler-filled video. To talk about this episode, I have to talk about the actual episode and what happened. I need your all's comments down below. What did you think? What do you think of next week's episode? Where do they go after this? Because of that ending, but we're not talking about the ending yet. We will get into it. So, Season 8, Episode 3, the Night King and his army have arrived at Winterfell, and the great battle begins. So many things to talk about, and we start out with that beautiful one take at the beginning where you're just starting with Sam, following Tyrion all the way around, and I love the camera work and the movement in this episode. And I believe the best part about it, technical-wise, is the score. The score behind the battle. The score for Game of Thrones, other than the main theme, does not get enough credit, and this may be the best score I have heard in any episode of any battle so far. And that was a wonderful way to start this episode. And then you get to the actual army where Ghost is standing at the front and everyone is ready to battle. And what I loved about the beginning of the episode is it's all just silence, this ominous noise. I mean, you have people talking and you have things in the background, but really when music cuts off and everyone is just standing there and waiting to have the fight of their lives, basically, it's just the way that it's executed. It could have come off as, well, you need some music behind it, or you need to get me pumped and ready for battle. No, it's the perfect way to do it and go about it. And then when the swords light up after the Red Woman shows up and gets everybody ready for an even more epic battle, and I like that too because it did start to light up the scene a little bit, even though I will say my only minor nitpick, and oh, don't slay me for it is that the battle was very dark. The first 25 minutes of the episode, I really did struggle seeing things, and it may have been where we were streaming it and the quality wasn't full HD, or it may have just been our television, but it was very dark, and I did struggle seeing certain things, even though you could tell that awesome things were happening. The sound was great. I'm like, oh, this sounds great. If only I could see something. But once the actual trench gets lit up, and we'll talk about that here in a bit, I thought it really kicked off, and it was, I think, the episode that they promised us. They promised us this epic hour and 20-minute long battle sequence, and we got just that, and I loved every bit of it. So we go from that to the first kind of group of the army rushing towards the army of the dead, and when all of the lights go out, I thought everyone had died, so I was really sad for Jorah, and I'm like, oh no, our favorite characters, but no, they all start running back, the horses and the men, and not saying a word either, and I love that. They are just running towards the battle, and then they're running away from the battle because I don't think they knew what they were up against. And then as soon as the army of the dead comes out of the darker shadows, it was chaos. This reminded me of World War Z, and we see that later on too when they're climbing up the wall. It was madness, it was horrifying, and I believe the audience was feeling what the characters were feeling at the time. It was just executed so well. It was like a horror film. And there is a moment later on the episode, and I hate to skip to that already, but it did remind me of Resident Evil, the best live-action Resident Evil we have ever seen, when Arya is trying to sneak through the dead and get away without having to fight the dead. I loved that moment. I believe it was like a 10-minute long scene. It was awesome. And this army is ferocious. But while that is going on, you have Daenerys and Jon riding the dragons and looking for the Night King. I thought that was so cool. You get some battles later on, and the battles were as cool as you expected them to be. Incredible action sequences in this episode, some of the best we have ever seen. And then once the trench is lit up, after, well, we've been saying for a long time, winter is coming, and winter came. It hit everyone. The dragons could not see where they were going. They were running into each other. People fighting, had no clue what was going on. Winter came. It was there. It was causing chaos, and it really helped the Night King's efforts. It allowed him to be able to see where he was going and no one else to see. So I love that. It was, and I keep using this word, epic. So like I said, the Red Woman, she goes and she lights up the trench. That was an awesome moment after Grey Worm really sacrifices his army because they're on the other side, and we see that they turn into the dead and become part of the bad army a little bit later. One moment that I really liked during this entire sequence was the death of Ed. It was our first death. Rest in peace. You know, this episode really, it did bring us death, absolutely, but I didn't feel the toll that I was expecting to feel. I thought we were going to get way more deaths. Now, the deaths that we did get, they were all executed very well. We had him, we had Theon at the end, Jorah, of course, Beric, who I really didn't want to see die, but I kind of knew he had to die just because that felt like he was serving his purpose. But then we see Bran, and he's, you know, doing what Bran does. He's just like, I'm going to go now, and his eyes roll back in his head, and he is off, seeing what's happening in the battle. Maybe he just wanted to take a look, see what's going on, you know? But that was the point when we got the big dragon battle, you know, Daenerys and Jon and the Night King. That was epic. Sam almost died like 3 times in this episode. Every time I saw Sam towards the end of the battle, he's just laying there and these things are like tearing. I don't think he died. He didn't die. But it was just so scary for me because Sam is one of my favorite characters. I think he is the heart and, in this own weird way, the backbone of certain elements of the show. So seeing him dying would have been really sad, although he didn't. Another really epic shot, multiple shots of Brienne and Jaime fighting back to back at one point. I thought that was wonderful. I did honestly believe that one of those two was going to go because Brienne and Jaime, they've had their thing, they've served their purpose, and one had to watch the other die. In my opinion, that didn't happen. I'm glad it didn't happen because now somebody's got to kill Cersei. Maybe that's Jaime, and then Brienne gets to do what I believe she is destined to do. She gets to be the knight, and I'm excited to see that happen. So then we cut from that to Little Miss Mormont. She gets picked up by the giant and slowly gets smushed, and I'm like, oh, well, she's dead. And then she stabs it right in the eye. If you're going to go out, what a way to go out. That was a very epic death. One death that I didn't hit on earlier, but it was just really cool for the moment. I wanted her to look up and say, you should have gone for the head, but I've got Avengers on the brain. And we get another mini dragon fight. Arya is, of course, doing her Resident Evil thing, which I really liked, and that's the point when the Hound comes to save her, of course, as he should have, and Beric meets his maker. I thought that was a really good death, him kind of holding so nobody could get past him, sacrificing himself. What a wonderful moment for that character. It's the perfect way for him to go out. And then the thing happens that I'm going to have to look into deeper. So the Red Woman comes in, uses some Faceless Man magic, and pumps up Arya for her moment later on in the episode. And a quick cut to her death, how she goes out in the end when she walks out into the snow and just kind of falls to the ground. I thought that was a very noble death. She came in, she served her purpose, did what she had to do. After not really being hit on in the first 2 episodes of the season, I thought it was really the ultimate use for her character, and it's another prime example of how well some of these characters are written into the show. I didn't even think about her coming back. I knew she should have to provide the fire, and she did exactly that, and she died in the best way possible. Not gonna lie, I got a little nervous when Jon's dragon was being bitten at the neck, and the dragons literally go down. I was afraid Daenerys was gone at one point. I was worried throughout this entire sequence, as I believe everyone was, and then the Night King does the thing after he falls off of his dragon. He raises the dead who had just died and were just good into his army, and now everybody's screwed. And the theories that people have been saying for the longest time, the people in the crypt were not very safe. And that moment between Sansa and Tyrion at the end where they're holding each other's hands, I thought was so beautiful because Tyrion, he really is the only guy to ever not lead her astray or not break her heart or not physically and mentally abuse her. It was a wonderful moment. I thought one of them, honestly, at that moment, was about to go out, and I thought everyone was dead because it got to the point to where the new dead army was slowly starting to take this battle very handily as the Night King was walking toward Bran to take out Bran. Of course, we see that he takes out Theon towards the end. Theon dies exactly how I thought he should die, a hero. That was the ultimate death for him. And that tracking shot following Jon as he is going after him, I thought was a wonderful shot. He's just taking people out, and you just see the exhaustion in people's faces everyone, they're tired, they're worn down, they can't hold it anymore. This was the ultimate example of giving everything you have in battle, and it was a beautiful sight to see. You see Jorah gets stabbed in the ribcage, and he's out, he dies eventually. Everything, all hope is lost, and the episode is about to come to an end, right? Well, Arya just jumps out of nowhere. She did the faceless man trick. She snuck past the guards. I'm sure she was patted down by security, but she just jumps up and stabs the Night King, doing what I believe she was trained to do all those seasons ago. Well, through many seasons, becoming the person that she was supposed to be. Her training paid off, and she was the one to take out the Night King and basically win the entire battle. Arya Stark, hero, one of my favorite characters, now a lot of people's favorite character. She did it. She defeated the Night King. That was the most unexpected thing. I've seen a lot of unexpected things this week. I watched Cobra Kai Season 2, it was great. Avengers Endgame, it was great. This may be the most unexpected thing I've seen this week, in her jumping from behind, dropping the dagger, and stabbing him. Explosion, boom, the army goes down, Phantom Menace style, the entire army dies, and it was just as epic as they built it out to be, guys. I loved the ending to this episode. That actually wasn't the ending. You get to see the slow death of Jorah, and then of course the Red Woman going out and dying nobly as she should have, and the music kind of cutting off. It was very silent. I thought that was all wonderful. Overall, guys, a lot of talking. This was a wonderful episode. A wonderful episode of television. I believe all of the buildup that has been going on through the last 2 episodes, where people have complained, and I understand your complaints are warranted, but did you get your payoff? I mean, not everyone died who people were expecting to die. I thought there was going to be a much larger death toll, but it still ended in maybe the most epic way possible, and in a wonderful way, and I'm so happy to say that I love this episode of Game of Thrones. But I want to hear what you guys think. Austin, why didn't you do a reaction video? Because you've been doing them for the last few weeks. Well, it's a mixture of the people in the comments section and the dislikes on those videos, because I guess I didn't show enough of the show because I turned the volume down, and there are a lot of reasons why I'm not doing a reaction video anymore, but kind of steered me away from doing that. So now I'm doing a review, but I do want to talk about Game of Thrones because I love Game of Thrones. I'm not the most hardcore, know every character and every single thing about the show. No, I'm more of a casual fan than anything, because of course my focus is on movies, but I still love the show, and I'm going to use this as a platform to talk about it because it's a show that everyone needs to talk about, everyone wants to talk about. So I appreciate you guys watching this video. Everything that you guys do for me, it means the world, and I can't wait to see you guys back here next week, because next week's episode is going to be awesome. Finally, Cersei versus basically everybody else. So she's going to be outnumbered, but it's going to be fun to watch. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will catch you very soon.